Chapter 8, Civil War. Hello, Mother. The daughter-in-law, who had never managed to please Kinkaman, greeted her with a polite smile and a why. But the older woman didn't feel any real respect from her. To her, this girl only had a pretty face and nothing more. I thought Ranshin would come alone. If they hated each other this much, why did she still come? To Kinkaman, it could only mean that this spoiled, rich girl wanted to cause trouble on purpose. They could have avoided seeing each other, yet she came all the way here just to challenge her. She must really want a fight, and the older woman was ready to give her one. I told her to come alone, but she wouldn't let me, Firacha said as she clung to her wife, her chest brushing against her arm. Kinkaman glared at the scene, feeling disgusted. She always complained about her daughter-in-law's clothing. Who would visit their elders dressed like this? A bright red tube top, showing her stomach, and a matching skirt only halfway down her thighs. To Kinkaman, women these days had no shame at all. What do you mean, she wouldn't let you? She stay over often enough, there's never been a problem before, Kinkaman commented acidly. There's always a problem when we're apart, Mother, but Ranshin didn't tell you, she only told me. Kinkaman hated the attitude the girl showed, hated the look in her eyes, as if declaring that Ranshin Lapaz shared more with her wife than with her own mother. How could she tell you she doesn't want to be away from her wife? You'd feel hurt for sure. She hated her, but she couldn't deny that she felt defeated too. You didn't tell me you were coming together. The housekeeper didn't prepare food for another person. Kinkaman tried to change the subject, hinting that the girl was unwanted today, but Firacha didn't care at all. She smiled and continued speaking in a way that clearly annoyed the older woman. Ranshin will cook. No need to bother the housekeeper. But you're bothering my daughter. Every time she saw them, it was always Ranshin doing everything for her wife. If they acted like this in public, what were they like in private? Did Firacha treat her daughter like a servant? She cooks everything for me at home, Mother. Breakfast and dinner. Seeing her mother-in-law's displeasure, the girl, who had come here to provoke her, continued on purpose. She slowly listed the things her wife did for her, pausing for a moment. Then she added something that made the older woman's eyes go wide. She even bathes me sometimes. Not only Kinkaman was shocked, Ranshin Lapaz was too. The lawyer turned to her wife in disbelief. How could she reveal something so private so easily? She knew Neen wanted to provoke her mother, but it was still surprising. If Neen dared to say this, who knew what else she might reveal? If she decided to expose everything, there were many more things that could make the older woman faint on the spot. I will do it for you, Neen. Excuse me for a moment. After letting the two rivals exchange verbal blows for a while, the peacemaker decided it was time to separate them before something unexpected happened. The young lawyer cut in and rose to her full height, preparing to leave the area and head to the kitchen instead. If you're hungry, Mother, you can start eating first. No need to wait, Firacha said as she followed closely behind, staying by her wife's side. Even while speaking to the older woman, who acted far from respectable, the pretty troublemaker kept leaning against Ranshin, brushing against her every few seconds. She was certain that every little affectionate gesture would annoy the older woman watching them with a sharp, angry gaze. Let the housekeeper cook. But I want to eat Ranshin's cooking, the spoiled answer made the hostess's eyebrow twitch. Seeing the situation heat up, the middle person quickly cut in, hopping to end the argument. I'll cook for myself, Ranshin said. This round, the famous heiress had clearly won. She gave a sweet smile, her beautiful eyes glancing at the older woman, who looked ready to explode. The mother-in-law wanted to scold her daughter-in-law badly, but she had to restrain herself, afraid her beloved daughter would scold her again like last time. Want to come with me, or would you like to wait here? Ranshin asked gently. That soft voice pleased Firacha greatly. Today, her beautiful wife, who was waiting for their divorce, seemed especially cooperative and considerate. I'll go, but I'm not doing anything. I'll just stand there to cheer you on. Of course, you're never allowed to do anything anyway. Unbelievable. How could Ranshin say something like that without worrying her mother might die of shock? But honestly, Neen was impressed. So impressed she pulled her wife close, pressed a kiss onto her cheek, and took a big breath of her scent, showing affection openly in front of that old loudmouth without a hint of embarrassment. She felt wonderfully satisfied, especially at the sight of the older woman holding back her fury, face red with anger. "What would you like to eat, Neen?" Ranchin asked. "Cook whatever you want." Just moments ago, she spoke sweetly, but once they were alone, the spoiled heiress immediately switched personalities. "Give me a moment, okay?" Ranchin rolled up her sleeves and began preparing to cook. While getting ready, she glanced at her wife and let out a quiet sigh. Originally, Firacha didn't dress this revealingly. But once she learned they would be seeing Ranchin's mother, the stubborn girl went home to change into the most provocative outfit she could find, something guaranteed to provoke disapproval. And even though her mother-in-law hadn't commented on the tiny red tube top, the way she looked at her was already more than enough. "Do you want a jacket?" Ranchin asked. "What for? Aren't you cold?" With a short skirt and a strapless top, she had no protection from the strong air conditioning. Ranchin worried because earlier, when they were standing close, Neen's skin felt ice cold. Normally, she never restricted her wife's clothing. On the contrary, anything Neen liked or felt confident in, Ranchin supported wholeheartedly. But when it came to Neen feeling physically cold, she didn't want her to suffer. Unfortunately, the stubborn girl had no intention of listening. She only wanted to win against her mother. "No, your mother doesn't like women dressing like this, so I absolutely will not wear a jacket." "But the air conditioning is cold," Ranchin said softly. "I can sit close to you. You're warm." The answer made Ranchin smile. The moment Firacha noticed that smile, she realized she had said something embarrassing without thinking. "It's not that cold." "If you get cold, tell me. I'll get you a jacket, but you look beautiful like this." Of course she thought so. She was the one who picked the outfit when they went shopping together. How could she not think Neen looked beautiful? That old loudmouth had no idea. She scolded her daughter-in-law every day for dressing provocatively, but didn't know that her precious daughter adored those revealing outfits. "Your mother been scolding me for dressing like this all the time. Has she ever even asked whether you like it or not?" Firacha asked teasingly. "Never," Ranchin answered with calm honesty. "The truth is, you actually like sexy women, don't you?" "I don't like sexy women," Ranchin countered. "Really? I only like you dressing sexy." With that, Ranchin casually turned to open the refrigerator and look for ingredients. Meanwhile, the heiress stood frozen, her cheeks burning like they were on fire, completely unable to respond to such a blunt statement. Firacha grew annoyed with herself. She was sick of feeling shy all the time. Ranchin's straight-faced honesty always made her blush. Who else could calmly say they liked their wife dressing provocatively, then turn around and continue cooking, if not Ranchin Lopez? Kinkaman watched the married couple at the table with strained patience. Their constant flirting was unbearable. One moment Neen asked her wife to peel shrimp, the next she wanted the fish deboned. Then she complained about chili and asked her wife to remove it. Then she refused to eat a certain vegetable and asked her darling to eat it for her. Over and over again. She and her daughter barely spoke a single sentence because Ranchin was too busy pampering that rich girl. If she scolded them, she knew Ranchin would defend her wife and snap back at her. A mother was supposed to have authority, but ever since they got married, her daughter no longer listened. The reason for this was painfully obvious. It was that shameless woman, the one who dressed indecently and flirted blatantly while mocking her through smug glances. If not for that woman's influence, her dutiful daughter would never have dared to defy her mother this way. She hated it. She hated how Firacha had changed her daughter into someone else. When they were dating, she hoped they would fail, break up, and go their separate ways. But that hope collapsed the moment they decided to marry. And once they became family, Ranchin showed even more clearly that her wife came before her mother, something every parent fears most. "Eat properly, Ranchin. Have you even taken a single proper bite?" Kinkaman finally said, struggling to control her tone. But the moment she spoke, the rude girl seized the chance to stir trouble. Darling, you should take care of your mother too. Old people get hurt easily, you know. Don't ignore her. Paying attention only to your wife isn't good. Neen put on a sympathetic face, pretending to feel sorry for the poor old woman. Seeing Kinkaman grit her teeth, fighting the urge to explode, only made her feel more amused. Surely the old hag must be suffering inside. Visiting her enemy's home today felt completely worth it. Neen wasn't sure what her lovely wife had said to her mother, but Kinkaman seemed more controlled than usual, more careful with her words than in any previous meeting. Whatever the reason, one thing was clear. Today, Neen, the Trakatipum daughter-in-law, had won. Hey. The older woman clenched her teeth. From her face, Neen could tell she was close to exploding. The more Neen smirked and raised her eyebrows, the more angry and unstable the older woman looked. What? Did I say something wrong? Neen asked with an innocent expression. You've gone too far, Neen. Her sharp voice was annoying, but Neen enjoyed hearing it. To her, the sound of someone losing was always satisfying. What did I say that upset you, Mother? That you're sensitive, or that you're old? But you are old, right? Kinkaman grabbed a glass of water, clearly intending to hurl it at her insolent daughter-in-law. But before the chaos could unfold, a cool, commanding voice sliced through the rising tension. Put the glass down. The tone wasn't loud, calm, even, but carried a quiet authority that made Kinkaman freeze in place. Ranchana said put it down. The words came again, firmer this time, and though unwillingly, Kinkaman lowered the glass back onto the table. Did you even hear what she said, Ranchan? She insulted your mother. The older woman wailed, switching tactics when anger no longer worked, forcing tears to her eyes in an act of emotional manipulation. Old people and their dramatic tricks, Neen knew them well. And she knew exactly what would happen next. Ranchan was always weak when it came to tears, hers or her mother. It wouldn't take long before her strong, confident Ranchan softened. Calling someone old isn't an insult, Mother, Neen said sweetly. She waited for a reply, but the older woman was shaking with anger and couldn't think clearly. At that perfect moment, Neen delivered the final blow. Calling you an old hag, that would be an insult. She smiled as she said it. Ranchan, who had been rubbing her temples, turned to quietly call her name. Neen. Her voice was gentle, nothing like the strict voice she used when ordering her mother to stop. Was Ranchan completely in wife worship mode today? She seemed to be taking Neen's side in everything. While Neen was enjoying her victory, a warm hand touched her bare thigh, the one she had shown off with her shortest skirt. She glanced at her wife. Ranchan looked tired but didn't stop her, didn't scold her, didn't seem upset at all. She simply let Neen do what she wanted. This, of course, made Kinkaman even angrier. Rude, low-class girl, didn't your parents teach you anything? Kinkaman spat. Neen simply shrugged. At this point, after exchanging so many harsh words, Neen felt no pain anymore. Only anger remained. In the past, when this woman insulted her, mocked her, looked down on her, Neen used to cry alone. But not anymore. She had to thank this biased, hateful older woman. If Kinkaman hadn't insulted her so harshly in the past, Nin wouldn't have grown strong enough to reach this point, where those words no longer hurt her. The only words that still wounded her were the ones spoken by her own wife. My parents taught me manners, Nin said calmly, but they taught me to use them only with people who deserve respect, and that definitely isn't you, Mother. The older woman's wrinkled face turned bright red. Her hand on the table tightened into a fist. The more her daughter stayed silent while watching her mother get verbally beaten by a younger woman, the more furious she became. Nin laughed and turned to her wife. Her long hair swayed as she leaned close, placing a hand on Ranchan's thigh and flashing a sweet, sparkling smile. Ranchan, go comfort your mother. I'll excuse myself for now. Come find me after you finish eating, okay? She rose gracefully from her seat, took one last satisfied look at the mess she had created, and smirked. Before walking away, she decided to leave her mother-in-law with a special gift. Nin slipped an arm around Ranchan's neck and leaned down. Her red tube top slipped dangerously low, revealing even more than before. "By the way," Neen said softly, "when you stepped away earlier, your mother said I dress like a cheap woman, someone who sells her body." Kinkeman's eyes widened in shock. She hadn't expected her insolent daughter-in-law to expose her tattle right in front of her own daughter. And worse, that confession earned her an immediate look of disappointment from Ranshin. "Looking down on other people's work like that isn't right," Neen added. "Ranshin, you should scold her. If she said that to anyone else, they wouldn't wait patiently for her child to correct her like I do." "What did I say that's wrong? Just look at her," Kinkeman snapped back. "Don't speak to Neen like that," Ranshin warned. The older woman almost screamed. She pressed her lips tightly together, glaring at Neen before turning to her daughter with tears brimming in her eyes. "You see, Ranshin, you're taking her side over your own mother." "Don't talk to my wife like that ever again," Ranshin said, trying hard to stay calm. At that moment, Ranshin was scarier than anyone else. The way she looked at her mother, the steady voice she used, everything showed she was angry. "You only listen to her now. You don't listen to your mother at all," Kinkeman cried, pretending to be heartbroken. Neen rolled her eyes. Watching the older woman fake tears made her think that one day she should learn to cry just as well, so she could win these emotional battles too. "I'll go now so you two can talk," Neen said. She leaned over and kissed Ranshin on the cheek, leaving a clear red lipstick mark. Then the beautiful daughter-in-law turned to give the bitter old woman one last teasing smile, her usual victory smile. Before walking away, she decided to deliver one more hit. "You probably don't know this, Mother, but your daughter loves when I dress like this," Neen said sweetly. "Of course, Ranshin won't tell you. Why would she tell her mother she likes her wife in sexy clothes? She only tells me, because I'm the one who gets to wear them for her." Neen beamed proudly. The older woman opened her mouth, wanting to argue, but nothing came out. Especially because Ranshin, just mentioned, looked as if she agreed with Neen. "Neen, go upstairs," Ranshin said quietly. She could see her mother was about to explode again. She quickly sent her wife away, afraid that if Neen stayed any longer, another glass of water might be thrown. The words exchanged already caused enough damage. And Ranshin's headache was more than enough for one day. "Fine, I'll go. But Mother, don't forget to value yourself a little lower next time. You seem to like people who dress like cheap women anyway." Firacha laughed, spun around, and walked off, leaving the mother and daughter sitting together in silence. Harsh words followed her, and Ranshin heard every one of them. Neen hoped her wife would say something, anything, to defend her. She wondered why Ranshin suddenly had the courage to scold her mother today, just the way Neen always wished she would. But that happy feeling didn't last long. Soon, it was Neen's turn to be scolded. "I didn't like what you did today, Neen," Ranshin said softly once they were in the bedroom. She closed the door, locked it, and sighed. She walked toward Neen, who was sitting with her arms crossed. "Please be careful with your words. She's still my mother." "It's normal you didn't like it. I didn't come here to please anyone." Her answer was honest but sharp. Ranshin knew why Neen came today, but watching her actually do it made her uneasy. Ranshin knew her mother was rude, especially to Neen, but Neen's words had been just as harsh. Ranshin wasn't used to it. Neen had only ever spoken that way to one person in her life, Ranshin's mother. "Did you really feel good doing all that?" Ranshin asked quietly. "Yes, anything that makes your mother almost explode makes me happy." "Can't you be a little gentler? If not, we'll keep fighting forever." Ranshin looked tired. She didn't want constant conflict anymore. They had just gotten married. This should have been a happy time, not a painful one. "Why don't you tell your mother to be gentler?" Neen shot back. "You saw her today. She tried not to argue." "She only tries when you're there. When you leave the room, she insults me like I'm not human. Why should I suffer alone?" Neen knew what Kinkeman was really like. Ranshin only saw the gentle side. "I'm sorry," Ranshin whispered. "But can we at least try? We can't keep attacking each other. I'm trying so hard to find peace, but you and my mom keep fighting. I'm so tired." "Tired only you?" Neen asked sharply. We're both tired. This relationship is wearing us out. Neen immediately knew what Ranchin was going to say next. Because of this tiredness, Ranchin had asked for a divorce. Tired of her mother. Tired of the gossip. Tired of feeling ashamed and pressured. All that tiredness pushed her toward leaving. Don't talk about divorce in this house, Neen growled. While we are here, you will act like we still love each other. Okay, Ranchin said. Do you want to start acting now? What do you mean? The walls here are thick, Ranchin said quietly. If you moan loudly, Mother might not hear, but if we do it near the door, she'll definitely hear us. Neen stared, shocked that her usually calm wife spoke like this, but Ranchin continued. There's a mirror on the door, too. I want to make love to you right in front of it, Ranchin said evenly, her tone unreadable. What are you saying? Isn't this what you wanted? She asked softly. You said to act like we still love each other. Don't mock me. I'm not mocking you. I'm doing exactly what you asked, acting like we're still deeply in love, like we're not getting divorced. The word divorce pierced Neen's heart like a knife every time. She stood up, walked close until their bodies touched, and wrapped her arms around Ranchin's neck. Pain showed clearly in her eyes, but Ranchin didn't see it. Fine, Neen whispered softly. Then show me how much you love me. And with that, the beautiful heiress took her wife's hand and pulled her toward the door, just like Ranchin suggested.